Bob Hawke's death has cast a shadow over this weekend's Australian election, which is expected to be a closely fought battle between the Conservative coalition government and the Labour Party. Voters have put climate change as one of the most important issues that needs to be addressed by the next administration. But as Roger Maynard reports from Sydney, it's a topic that's divided the nation.
When hundreds of Sydney schoolchildren recently abandoned their lessons to demand tougher action on global warming, they were joined by thousands of young protesters around the world. Climate change is a major issue here in Australia, where extreme weather patterns are commonplace.
Everyone has seen climate impacts. We've had mass fish kills, very severe droughts, unprecedented fires over recent years, and storms. So people are now very aware that climate change is a real issue, and in the election it's an issue that's motivating many people. You see it across electorates, including this one here, which was, a very conservative electorate for many decades. And so I think it is going to be an influential issue.
Climate change has become one of the thorniest issues in Australian politics. The opposition Labour Party want to see a greater reliance on renewable energy, such as solar and wind. But the government insists we still need conventional power supplies from coal-fired power stations. And right now, the great climate change debate is heating up as never before. For these young demonstrators, coal is the #1 enemy, the main cause of the carbon emissions problem, which they say is increasing temperatures and threatening the planet. And they're criticising the government for giving the go-ahead to a new Indian-owned coal mine in Queensland, which they claim would release more than 700 million tonnes of carbon dioxide a year. However, Australia's Mineral Council sees it differently.
The Adani mine should definitely go ahead. What it means is that it will open up the Galilee Basin, which is a very, very important province for future minerals industry of Australia. It also means that we'll be able to provide power to Indian people, hundreds of millions of people that do not currently have electricity in their lives.
Coal brings in an estimated 60 billion Australian dollars a year in export earnings and employs around 50,000 people. It's a major contributor to the economy. But the anti-coal lobby want to close the mines and shut down the coal-fired power stations. They argue that renewable energy from the sun and the wind is the future, with solar farms already springing up in many parts of rural Australia. Here in Canberra, solar engineer Matt Stock says it's the only way to replace expensive fossil fuels.
So Australia is currently installing solar and wind in Australia at a rate faster than anywhere else in the world on a per capita basis. So this has been a really dramatic change that's occurred over the last few years, and we've recently hit about 20% of our energy is coming from renewables, but if we keep at this rate for the next few years, then we're going to be hitting 50% in the mid-2020s, around 2025.
It's an optimistic view which is not shared by all Australians, who complain of soaring electricity prices because of poor energy policy decisions by the government. In a country with such bountiful supplies of power in the form of coal, gas and uranium, Australia still has among the highest electricity prices in the world. Such vexed issues could well decide the outcome of the Australian election. Roger Maynard, CNA, Sydney.